Alright, so you remember when I said I would do a challenge video for Rainbow Rocks? You didn't think I would leave you guys hanging, did you? Now I know that many of you have already put up your reviews of this movie, and since this is the first challenge video and that it isn't season 5, think of this as just a practice run for when we get into the episodes. It'll be practice for you for doing the challenges, but it's also practice for me for making those challenges. Each challenge I make has to be in a sense that it really is a challenge, where you really have to work at it, and not just something where you make a few tweaks to your video and you're done. Most of them also have to be made for or have something to do with the episode in mind, instead of just a challenge I could use on any episode. For the others that don't, there has to be a good reason why I used that specific challenge for a given episode. Remember in the intro video how I said I would only do challenges which prevent you from talking about something for a good reason? There has to be a reason why I would pick something in an episode and say that you can't talk about it, and why I would pick that thing rather than anything else in the episode. Now that I've got all of that out of the way, let's give this a shot, shall we? These challenges will give you a look into what they'll be like for Season 5, so make sure to do as many of them as you can. Number 1. Since this is a movie all about music, I want you to do your video while singing! It could be any duration of your video. Singing for a longer duration will get you more points. Bonus points if you use any songs from the movie. Number 2. Turn your OC into an equestrian girl. Or boy. Whatever works for you. More points if you make it with more than one pose. And that's for a good reason. Because having your OC with just one pose for the whole video, it makes things awkward. Number 3. So I've been hearing a lot of you saying how Sunset Shimmer is a much better character in this movie. So you know what? I want you to tell me how good she's gotten. So for this challenge, provide at least 10 points for how Sunset Shimmer is better in this movie than the last one. If you want to go easy mode, you can do at least 5. Hard mode? 15. God mode?
20.
Number 4. On the topic of the villains in this movie, it seems that the fans are all crazy about Sonata. She's really become the fan favorite, and I want to know exactly why. For this challenge, try to analyze what it is about Sonata that made the fans love her so much. Look into her design, her character, and anything else about her that you might feel would fit as a reason. The more aspects of her character you discuss in your video, the more points you'll get. Number 5. And while you talk about Sonata, put up as many cute pictures of her as you can. She's so adorable! Ah! Number 6. When talking about any of the villains, match the personality and or voice of the dazzling you talk about. It could get a little confusing when you talk about more than one of them in the same sentence. So if you want, you can also do the rule where you talk like them after saying their name or referring to them by pronoun. Number 7. That song Twilight was singing in this scene was not too great, but it sounded like it was on a good start. What do you think it would have sounded like as an actual song? Try to reproduce it in your video, or in a separate video. All you musicians and voice actors out there can take on this challenge as well. Number 8. Each villain had her own personality that made up the trio. There's the leader, the lovable one, and the mean one. Are there any other trios that you might know of, either good or bad, that have the similar personality setup? More trios means more points. Number 9. This might only work for analysts who have at least some musical knowledge, but anyone can give this a shot. Analyze the music in this movie and give each of the songs a rating. Has the music in this gotten better since the first movie? Let us know. Number 10. Such a long movie, and there's so much to cover. But you know what? Do it in under 5 minutes! Number 11. You know, what amazes me is how a lot of us could already tell that these villains were sirens the first time we saw them in the preview. We didn't even have the lore that was established in the movie. We only went with what we knew. In Greek mythology, sirens were the creatures that led sailors to their death by luring them in with their singing. These sirens, however, aren't exactly the same, but in some ways they are. Analyze the villains and point out the similarities and differences between them and the Greek sirens. Number 12. In your video, put up at least 4 clips from Rainbow Rocks that show how well the animation has gotten. You can use clips from the first movie to compare them, but they won't count. Easy mode is 2, hard mode is 8, and God mode is 12. Number 13. With the last scene after the credits, I had a good feeling of where the next movie was going, so I want you to give your solid prediction on the premise of the third movie. Number 14. Oh, this is going to be a fun one. You can only talk about events in the order that they occur in the movie. That means you can only talk about what happened in the beginning first and what happened near the end last. Number 15. Any screenshots of the movie you use must be shown in vectors. If no one has made any vectors of a screenshot you want to show, you're out of luck, unless you want to do the work yourself. Make sure to credit the artists who made the vectors you use, and not to use any that you don't have permission for. Number 16. Besides the common pronouns, any specific reference to a character can only be used once for the whole video. Once you say a character's name, you would have to use various nicknames in order to refer to that character again. For example, if I wanted to refer to Rainbow Dash, I can say the name Rainbow Dash once and that's it. If I wanted to refer to her again, I would have to call her by a nickname such as Rainbow, RD, Dash, Dashy, the Colorful Tomboy, the Wonderbolt Prodigy, and so on. Whatever I use, however, cannot be used again, so I have to think of another nickname. It's essentially a list as many nicknames for each character as you can challenge. This will be easy for anyone who's good at using kenning. Number 17. Whenever you're talking about a scene, essentially when describing what the scene is and what happened in it, you must pick a character involved in that scene and talk in their person. In other words, talk about the scene as if you were that character, using first person's perspective. If something happened in that scene that the character doesn't know about, you can't mention it. You only know what the character knows, and you can incorporate your own thoughts of what they know. For example, when talking about the cafeteria scene as one of the main characters, which includes Sunset Shimmer, you cannot talk about who the villains really are or what their plan is. If you were Sunset, you could talk about how you felt around them and any suspicions you may have. More points if you use the most relevant characters of a scene, and if you use characters only once for the whole video. Number 18. Talk about the Equestria Girl Twilight Sparkle. Where has she been? Who is she exactly? If she's supposed to be like the Pony Twilight Sparkle if she was never sent to Ponyville, what do you think she is like now? Is she still the same way we saw Twilight as in the first episode, or has her character grown in another direction? Let us know in the video. Number 19. You cannot talk negatively about Best Waffle Stealer. At all. Whenever you talk about him, it should only be in a positive or neutral sense. He is my waffle stealer. And finally, number 20.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
This means your whole video must only consist of one audio recording, unedited and uncut. So we'll get to hear all the times you mess up. MLP Analysis community, I challenge you to take on these analysis challenges. Do you accept?